Sunday and the sun isn't shining necessarily, but I often find that Sunday mornings are time to reflect, time to go inwards. And the best way for me to do that is to do a yin practice. So I invite you to join me for a short yin practice. And what we're going to explore today is what stops me. Sometimes in our lives there are things where we just feel like we are held back, we can't go any further. And the way to think about or to look into that is to reflect upon what is holding me back. And yin is perfect to explore that. So find a comfortable space and make yourself a little nest. For yin, I like to have a thicker mat and a blanket on top so that I can really feel comfortable. Because we're holding the poses for longer. Usually I hold poses for about 20 to 30 breaths. It's important to be comfortable. You might also want to have a couple of props like some pillows, or maybe you have cushions or some blocks. I like to have some water ready as well. And I also bring my journal so that afterwards I can write down anything that comes up for me. So when you're ready and you have made your little nest, come and join me for a nice yin practice that explores what stops you. We will start our yin practice in caterpillar. So it's like a forward fold seat. So you're stretching your legs out in front of you, and your legs might be straight on the ground, or they might be a little bit bent. The target area for this pose is the hamstrings. So what is important is that you can relax forwards and then feel a nice little stretch. Now, depending on your physicality, your joints and everything, you might find it more comfortable to have a cushion underneath your sit bone so it lifts you up a little bit more, so you can feel a deeper stretch. You might also want to put a cushion maybe underneath your knees. So this works really well for me. And then relax the feet, relax the legs, relax the hands and the upper body. So caterpillar is a beautiful grounding earth pose. And coming back to our theme of what stops me, what's holding me back. Why yin is so great is that when we are holding these poses, there are three things that we look out for. First, we are getting ready for the pose, trying different things out so we can feel the target area, in this case the hamstrings. The second one is then to settle in, to bring our attention to the body, the sensation, and then the third one for me is around the easing in, becoming aware of how that sensation shifts and changes and how my body wants to ease into it. And where have I got a restriction maybe that is holding me back to feel deeper into the pose, that allows me to get that deeper stretch? That's where we can think about compression. So what stops getting deeper into the pose? And this might be where bones on bones touch and you can't go any further, or maybe bones on tissue, or tissue on tissue, so like the belly touching the thighs doesn't allow you to go any further down. And then start to bring your attention to the full body. Can you relax even further into the pose? I like to place my hands either side and then let my palms face up so that I'm not gripping or holding on.
And then when you found your pose, your variation that works for you, take this moment to explore, bringing your attention to the breath maybe, but focusing on that sensation, in this case in the hamstrings. But maybe you feel it somewhere else as well, and that's okay too. And then relaxing the muscles in your face. Noticing how you can really melt into that pose. And as you do so, you might find that what might have stopped you in the first place has softened, has changed, or maybe not. But you're okay with it. You can work with it. Let's take one more breath in and out. And slowly, slowly rolling up, really gently and mindfully. And again, observing how the body reacts and responds. And if you had any props, then maybe put them to one side. And I invite you now to come onto your back for a short rebound, 8 breaths. And again, bringing your attention back to the sensation, particularly the area that we've just focused on. Maybe you're experiencing release elsewhere, maybe in the lower back. Maybe your legs start to feel heavy. Just take one more breath in and out. And slowly bring your knees into the chest. Give yourself a little hug. Maybe rolling left and rolling right. And then gently pushing your way back up into seated, coming into a butterfly pose. So that can be either earth or water. The closer you bring the feet together, so bringing the feet together, let your knees fall out wide. And the closer you bring it together, the more intense the stretch on the inside of your thighs. I'm going to turn the other way so you can see the differences. So I can have them close by, or I can bring them further in front. And then again, we can grab hold of our feet if that feels comfortable, and then we're folding forwards. If you would like to use some props here for your head, you're more than welcome. So for instance, a couple of pillows might be quite nice. You don't have to, you can also just working with gravity. So I like to work with gravity here. And then again, starting to getting into the pose, settling in, taking a deep breath in and out, and noticing, observing the body, easing into the pose. So in the end, it's all about how the body eases into the pose rather than how the body gets or is made to fit the pose. So it's the other way around to yang. And then notice here what stops you to come further down. Where do you feel compression maybe? Maybe one leg is higher up than the other. And then with every breath out, see if you can ease deeper into the pose. Letting your head hang, relaxing the muscles in your neck and your face. So for me, butterfly pose is a really nice pose to explore this what stops me. On the one hand, it's that earth pose that grounds me. Allows me to accept what is and to work with what is. And on the other hand, it's also related to the water element. Going with the flow. So even things are in my way that stop me to do what I want to do, or stop me sometimes or hold me back to behave in a certain way. How can I find a way through with less resistance and more ease? So we're sort of halfway through the pose. Take another deep breath in and out. And slowly release the hands, or put your proper way if you have one. Again, rolling up and making your way onto the back once more into a rebound. Noticing how the body feels now. And even in the rebound, maybe you find your mind wandering off. Thoughts are rising. What stops you to let go? What stops you to bring your attention to the sensations instead of following trains of thought? One more breath in and out. Slowly bring your feet up. Bring your knees into the chest once more. And then make your way back up. We're coming into half shoelace. So stretch your left leg out and bring your right leg on top. Now there's a couple of variations here that you might want to take. So the idea is that we feel that on the outside of our right hip, so that the knee is on top of the left one. You could also go into full shoelace, bringing both legs around, but for me that's really uncomfortable. And then again, breathing in. And as you're breathing out, maybe folding forwards. And you might find that this forward fold doesn't go very far at all because of the compression that you can feel. So again, exploring both as you are trying to get into the pose. What is holding you back? What is stopping you? And allowing that to be there. Again, you can use a couple of props here to rest your head if it feels good. Or you can work with gravity. Noticing where else you feel that in the body. Where else does the body respond to this pose? So again, I like to work with some gravity here. And then bringing your focus, your attention back to the sensations. Sometimes the sensations can be really intense. Notice how this intensity changes. And maybe you find that the intensity is so much that you feel like you need to get out of the pose. You have to be your own judge on whether it is an uncomfortable sensation that you can work through with the breath, or whether it is an unhealthy sensation that you need to get out from. So for instance, if you feel pain in the knee, then maybe releasing the angle or changing the angle a little bit so that you don't feel that pain, that is important. Especially if it's pain on the inside or the outside of your right knee in this case. If it's discomfort, the top of your knee on the right leg, that is usually okay, indicating a tight thigh. And becoming aware of how the body maybe requests you to go deeper. Five more breaths. One more breath in and out. Slowly releasing, coming all the way back up. And then we will take it over to the other side. So we will do the rebound afterwards this time. So stretching your right leg out, bring your left leg in, and then crossing it over the right leg. You can either maybe stay here and that's comfortable enough, or you can come onto the outside of your left leg, coming into half shoelace. Again on the other side. Breathing in and breathing out, folding forwards. Then become aware of how this side feels in comparison to the other side. Maybe it is easier. You feel softer straight away. Or maybe you feel like this is more intense even, because you feel tighter. So again, the target area here is the right hamstring, but you can also feel it in your left hip space, the outside of your left thigh. And settling into the pose, noticing how the body responds. Is there anything that is holding you back to ease into the pose? Can you find an alternative way? Or perhaps can you accept and allow it to be? What else is it that you would like to do or to experience? Is it really stopping you and really holding you back? And relaxing the feet, relaxing the shoulders. 5 more breaths. Take one more breath in and out. And then slowly coming back up. Being really mindful as you unravel the legs. You might feel a little bit lightheaded as well. So take a moment here and then make your way onto the back for a rebound. Taking 8 breaths. Notice how the left side and the right side feel. And do they feel the same or different? And then our final pose today is snail pose. So again, there might be different variations for snail pose and you might find some props helpful here. So first bring your knees into the chest. And then either maybe you have a block or a cushion or a pillow. Either is fine. And then lifting your cushion, you block your pillow underneath your sacrum and then lift your legs up and then bring them over your head. So you might touch the floor, your feet might touch the floor. I need to go a bit further down. Or perhaps your feet don't touch the floor. But the prop can help you to support your back a little bit here. So in the morning, sometimes my legs don't touch the floor and sometimes they do. So as we're holding this pose a little longer, I quite like to have a prop behind me. And then if your feet touch the floor, let your hands rest either side, palms facing up. If they don't, then maybe see if you can use the prop so that you have that support and you can still release the hands. And then again, as we are settling into the pose, notice what is holding you back, what is stopping you, maybe from lowering the legs. Do you have to? Why? Is it that there is compression, again, in your hips, joint to joint, or tissue to tissue, or joint to tissue? Maybe you can feel it in your back. Maybe it's a restriction elsewhere. If snail is really not working for you, then you can go back into caterpillar that we did in the beginning of the practice. Maybe what is holding you back is that the breath is restricted, or breathing is restricted here slightly. Observe that as well, how that makes you feel maybe, or maybe how over time you can adjust to it, you can get used to it. Is it holding you back from experiencing the pose? Three more breaths. Last one, big breath in and out. Slowly release. If you have a prop underneath you, then remove that. Turn your hands so that the palms facing down, and then using your hands as brakes to come down really slowly and mindfully until the whole spine is connected with the mat, the floor. And then make your way into our final pose, Shavasana. Might have to readjust a little bit, like I'm a bit too much to the front. And maybe you want to put on some socks or put a blanket on top so you can feel really relaxed. Maybe using one of the props, one of the pillows. And allowing the practice to take effect. Using Shavasana to cultivate our practice. Starting to relax the muscles in your toes, in your feet and your ankles even more. Feel your legs gently resting on the mat. Feeling the weight of the legs and the hips supported by the mat. Letting go of tension in your lower back, mid back and upper back. Feeling your belly going up and down as you breathe in and out. Relaxing the muscles even more in your shoulders, upper arms, forearms, wrists, hands and fingers. Feeling your torso, your arms coming heavy, fully supported by the mat. Letting go of tension in your neck and your throat. Maybe opening your mouth slightly, letting the tongue hang. Relaxing the muscles in your jaw, cheeks, around your eyes and forehead. Letting go. Surrender. Whatever you might think stops you in your tracks, stops you in who you want to be, what you want to do or become, might be there for a reason, might be something you cannot change. Like bones rubbing on bones or tissue on tissue. Maybe that's okay. Maybe there is another way, maybe there is a variation. It would allow you to move further, to move on. Maybe there is a different option. Stay here as long as you need to, as long as you want to. And if there's anything that you would like to write down or journal upon, And I invite you to do so. I'll take my hands to my forehead center. And I bow in gratitude and with a smile. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a wonderful, restful day and week ahead. Namaste.